Hey guys, it's B, and this is my September wrap-up. First off, I just have to say that September was not my greatest month. Did not reach the goals that I was aiming for, was kind of feeling down on myself until I started looking around, reading tweets, watching other people's wrap-ups, and a lot of people had a very crap reading month last month, so I don't feel so bad. The first book that I finished in September was the second half of Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi, and I absolutely love this one, you guys. It's the story of a young girl, coming of age story, her life in war-torn Iran during the revolution. So it's just the toll that everything takes on her relatives, their friends, everyone within the community. And eventually her parents send her to live in Europe to have better opportunities and have a better education, things like that. Follows her story of living abroad, eventually returning home to Iran, and growing up and becoming a young woman. I gave this one 4 stars, absolutely love it, have been wanting to read it for years. I'm happy that I finally finished it, so I will finally be able to watch the movie. So I like to plan out my TBRs in advance, maybe like a month or 2 sometimes, like even 3 months, like crazy, I know. But Diverseathon came along and I shuffled some things around. I was already planning a reading Persepolis as well as And the Mountains Echo, which fit perfectly with the theme of the readathon. And then I found 2 more books to throw into the mix. I read And the Mountains Echoed by Khalid Hosseini. This was the first book that I finished for Diverseathon. This was a buddy read with Mathis and Morgan. You can check out their channels there. I'll also put their links below. It's the story of 2 siblings, a brother and a sister. Their father makes a decision that affects not only their lives, but the generations that come after them. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I have to say that I was let down. It didn't exactly fall flat for me, but it was quite a disappointment because I absolutely love his other 2 novels. The Kite Runner and A Thousand Splendid Suns are wonderful, wonderful books. I highly recommend them. I talked about it a little bit in my Diverseathon wrap-up, so you guys can check that out if you want. But basically, what I didn't care for was that within the first few chapters, you come to know these kids and love them and root for them, and you're endeared to them. And as the story goes on, they're kind of removed from the picture. A lot of characters were introduced that weren't of key importance to the story, and by the time we circle back to the 2 siblings, it's so far along in the process that it's neither satisfying nor heartbreaking. It was just, I don't know, I felt like it was kind of a mediocre ending. It wasn't very satisfying. I don't know if it could have done with editing. I don't know if the book would have been better told as short stories, but just something was missing and I didn't connect with it. Next, I listened to the audiobook of The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. You guys, I have wanted to read this book forever, and I'm so glad that I finally got to finish it. And it so did not disappoint. I loved it so much. The narration was excellent. This guy nailed this 14-year-old kid's voice and inner spirit, like, to a T. I highly recommend it. I loved it so much. So it's the story of 14-year-old Arnold Spirit, who has a few physical disabilities, also stutters. He is also poor, Native American, lives on a reservation, so it was perfect for Diverseathon. I haven't read a lot about Native American characters, nor a lot about people with physical disabilities, which are both 2 topics that I am trying to focus more into my reading, like different ethnic backgrounds other than the few that I dabble with or am somewhat familiar with, as well as reading about non-able-bodied people. So the story tells of him coping with his physical limitations, but also persevering and overcoming those limitations, as well as achieving things that no one else on the reservation has. And he's the first person that's actually gone to school off of the reservation. So the story follows his difficulties, not only with dealing with all of the white kids at school and being the only person of color, but to come home then and have to deal with the fallout from those that live on the reservation, thinking that he thinks that he's better than them and not knowing who he is and things like that. You guys can imagine, but it's such a good story. I didn't want it to end. I loved reading the audiobook. Since finishing, I've read other people's reviews, and I guess the actual physical copy of the book has like pictures and drawings that supposedly Arnold has done, because actually the book is semi-biographical for Sherman Alexie, so I guess his story is kind of similar to what Arnold goes through in the book. But I highly recommend it, you guys. I gave it 5 stars. The next audiobook that I finished for Diverseathon was Sold by Patricia McCormick. And this is the story of a 13-year-old Lakshmi that lives with her family in a village in Nepal. Basically, this is the story of her being sold into prostitution. And it's disturbing, it's disgusting, it's heartbreaking, everything that you would think. Follows her pre-being sold into prostitution to being sold into prostitution and lied to about where she's going. She basically thinks she's going to work as a maid for both the family in the city so she can send money back home to help the family. Come to find out that she has been sold into prostitution, so it's her struggle of fighting and resisting that, of not having anywhere to go, how she deals with it, how she copes. It was an interesting read, tough because of the topic. At the end, there was basically just a footnote of statistics on how women are fighting back, how they're trying to educate women and families there to prevent this from happening. They're protesting, they're patrolling the borders looking for girls that are being smuggled against their will, things of that nature. But it was such a short excerpt. It could have ended on such a better note, such a stronger, uplifting message, and it was just kind of like an afterthought. So that kind of killed it for me. The ending was kind of abrupt. It could have played out a little bit differently to finish the book off in a different light. I didn't like the whole like American hero kind of vibe that I was getting at the end. These poor women and girls that are going through this, and then the lucky ones that are strong enough to survive and fight and blessed enough to escape, and the ones that are strong enough to fight back and speak out against it. I just felt that there should have been more recognition of that instead of just this small story about this one poor girl and what happens to her, and we don't know after said thing happens, then what happens, what goes on. I was into it for what it was trying to do, but it was just average to me. I gave this one 3 stars. And the last book that I finished for September to kick off Banned Books Week, I listened to the audiobook of Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This is my second Palahniuk, you guys. Remember, if you guys follow me, you'll remember my Northern California travel vlog video. It starts out when we were road tripping. We were actually listening to Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk. I think I'm a fan. I think I'm liking his stuff. Really good. So I listened to Fight Club, and the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. I've been a huge fan of the movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. I've always wanted to read the book. A secret underground bare-knuckle fighting club turns into almost like a religious cult, empowering the everyday man, taking back power from the top tier and putting it in the hands of the people. Anarchy, domestic terrorism, psychosis. It's all over the place. It's so good. As soon as I finished it, the first words out of my mouth were,
"Whoa, that was a great mind."
So even going in and knowing like what's gonna happen, it was so good. Like, seriously, do yourself a favor and check this one out. So glad that I finally made that one happen. That's it. September, all wrapped up. I didn't read everything that I wanted to read. I didn't read as much as I wanted to read, but it was a super productive month. I'm very happy with what I did. I read Diversely, which is always my goal. I was able to participate in Diverseathon, which was friggin' awesome. I participated in Banned Books Week, which was absolutely great. Let me know below what you guys read last month. Did you participate in Diverseathon? Did you read any banned books? What did you love? That's it. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.